Hello, guys. I don't know if anyone is watching, but my name is John Callum and I am from Kuhol Garage. This is our YouTube channel, and today I will be. Um, how do we do this? Today we will be discussing about a topic that is very interesting to my heart. I don't know if it will be for others, but yeah. But before we begin, first of all, I have to establish that uh, are there people listening to this? Can I be heard? So let me go and check since there's no viewers as of this time. So let's figure it out. Mhm. Let's try this sucker out. Viewers as of this time. Alright, so the live stream works. So, alright, so, um, well, I'd like to first start off by updating you guys on what's going on with our YouTube channel and more than that, I guess my life in general because as you know, this channel is something that I've been doing personally for a bit of a long time already, and this is a pastime of mine, and so um, quite recently, how do I say this? You know, life has been a bit tough. Business has been tough, and so there has been various changes to how the YouTube channel is being done. Updates are very sporadic, unfortunately. Well, it has been sporadic from before, but now it has been a little bit on the backbencher because, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, very luckily, I have pivoted a little bit in my work career in a sense. Since for the past about 4 to 5 months, uh, I I became a professor. Technically speaking, my position is an assistant professor, and I'm teaching in the premier state university in our country. Um, as you may also know, if I have anyone watching from abroad, we are based in the Philippines. And so, perspectives that you see in the YouTube channel and the things that we're able to do are really limited. Not really, well, limited's the wrong word, but more or less the context of what I've been able to do in the YouTube channel. The context is that we're based in the Philippines. Any parts that we use for our project cars, the talent that we're able to easily access to do our cars, and so on and so forth. Anything that you see on video, and especially this topic that we will be discussing now, will be based on the fact that we are based in the Philippines. Okay, so when I discuss the topic, the crossover SUV as a potential grassroots motorsport vehicle, you may, I hope that you realize that um, that we're based in the Philippines. So the examples given and the context given for racing and four-wheeled motorsports in particular will be based on the fact that we're in the Philippines. Okay, with that said, well, going back to a little bit of spring, not really spring cleaning, but updates to on the goings on of our YouTube channel and life in general. Yeah, there is a pivot to um, or an addition to my work career, and that is teaching professionally. As an educator, I teach business administration and entrepreneurship um, in a state university located nearby what is now going to hopefully be our long-term location for the namesake of this YouTube channel, which is Kuhol Garage. Okay. As you may have also seen on previous videos, we are pivoting from the KHL Motorsport branding because I kind of see in my life that slowly, there might not be enough opportunities for me to race in the future. Maybe I said that last year, but I've had some of the best racing opportunities that I've had in my life during 2024. So who knows where 2025 would bring. And also, uh, we don't I don't usually cover a lot of my motorsport activities as actively as I should. I don't know. I kind of feel that I don't know. I guess on one hand I'm kind of shy on sharing exactly what it is that I like to do. So it's kind of oxymoronic for me to do such a YouTube channel to try to show a glimpse of the life that I wish to have led or wish to lead, rather. Um, but when I guess the thing is when I go compete outside, it is very difficult for me to think of pulling out the camera. It's not second nature to me. Uh, I don't know. I'm not really a super narcissistic person. Maybe just a little bit, but not super. That I would really like to photograph myself all the time and take a video of myself all the time and the things that I do. And so there are a lot of opportunities that I could have used and a lot of experiences that I could have shared for the YouTube channel, which unfortunately I've not taken advantage of. And tantamount to joining races from time to time, sometimes at the back of your mind you're worried about your car, whether, yeah, especially for me, when I compete alone, no mechanic, no friends, just go to the races, race, then come home, you know, in the grand tradition of the gentleman racer. So it's kind of hard to document the things that I like to do, all right, which is compete in motorsport events. And so it would be much easier for me to just document the things that are going on in in this location that we would call Kuhol Garage. And slowly, um, we would be not necessarily pivoting, but more of documenting not only car content, the project cars that we have, the plans that we have, the things that we're working on as far as cars are concerned. We're also gonna show you a little bit about the garage work that we're planning to do, because we're also slowly upgrading this location to something convenient and a bit fun and titillating for us, and to give it attributes that would be useful and give us uh, comfort, enjoyment, and a decent way of living, in a sense. And so we'll also be featuring a little bit of the stuff that we're doing here. Okay. So that's why we've changed the name to Kuhol Garage. What does Kuhol mean? Kuhol is the Filipino name for snail, right? The I don't. It's not an insect. A snail is an insect. No, it's not some sort. It's some sort of animal. Definitely not a vegetable, but it's some sort of creature, right? The snail, reminiscent, also reminiscent of a turbocharger. So that's what the word Kuhol means in Kuhol Garage. So anyway, with that said, uh, I've blabbered for about 10 minutes. Let's go on with the topic. And if there would be anyone watching live, feel free to ask questions at any time. And if you're not going to be able to watch this live, anyway, just write your questions in the comments. And hopefully some interesting thoughts that you may have regarding the topic, please do share them for the benefit of all who's watching this. And hopefully that we could be discussing this topic for a period of time. And I hope that this topic is relevant to you. Otherwise, why did you click on this one and watch this one? So anyway, let's proceed with the PowerPoint. Ew. Ew. Ooh, let's do that again. Let's do that effect again. Let's do that effect again. Ew. Alright. So the crossover SUV as a grassroots motorsport vehicle. I don't know, what's this? A Nissan X-Trail, Nissan Rogue, whatever you call this one. I don't know what car this is. But it's literally standing on a grassy field with Russian license plates. Alright. So the contents of this, how do we say this, lecture, it's like I'm back teaching my college level students in the university. But anyway, classes will be starting in a few weeks, so might as well try to practice my lecturing chops with you guys with a topic that is very interesting to me, which is motorsport. Anyway, the contents of this lecture is as follows. What is grassroots motorsport? What are we talking about? What type of motorsport are we talking about? Right? What is a crossover SUV? The advantages of using such a vehicle and possible disadvantages. Case examples for using a crossover SUV in grassroots motorsport in the Philippine setting. And our recommendations for those who are interested. Okay? Let's... about the presenter. You know, the thing is, I have to convince you guys to take me seriously. So, I put my qualifications and certifications here in this slide over here. Right? You could see me. That's a picture of me competing in the Tuason Racing School Top Driver Challenge sponsored by Gulf. So that's why I'm wearing the Gulf apparel in this picture. But otherwise, I'm not sponsored by any lubricant company. So I'm still open to sponsorships for the 2025 motorsport season. Okay? So a little bit about myself, not to brag or whatever, but you have to see the context of where I'm coming from and to understand that I know what I'm talking about. So, alright, so currently I am an assistant professor teaching entrepreneurship and business management at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. So I'm very new. I'm very new in the academe, and but yeah, even though I'm new, I can still say that I am a professor of some sort. I'm also an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for the past, I don't know, since at the very least 2011, or very early than that, earlier than that. Currently, I'm the proprietor for KBI Quick Lube. KBI Quick Lube is a quick service center located in Sucat, Parañaque, selling tires, wheels, batteries, and lubricants, and offering quick services, preventive maintenance, change oil under chassis, tire repair, tire installation, tire mounting, and so on and so forth. In motorsport, I'm also able uh, to be able to have worked professionally in Philippine motorsport. So I was the former motorsport assistant for in the Automobile Association Philippines, or AAP, which is the Philippine representative of the FIA. The AAP is um, the sporting organization responsible for four-wheeled motorsport in the Philippines. And I also was an event coverage specialist, taking photographs and covering events for Time Attack Manila, an online motorsport magazine specialized in covering motorsport events in the Philippines. I've been serving in the motorsport industry for about 17, 18 years. As a competitor, as a event coverage specialist, as a motorsport assistant, as a race official, as a media, um, yeah, whatever I did for Time Attack Manila, even certain side gigs as a motorsport instructor, and a few other things that not worth mentioning at this point. But just to emphasize, uh, I've been in motorsport half my life in the Philippine setting, and not to brag, but I think I know what I'm talking about. As far as certifications in this regard, I am a graduate of the AAP Motorsport Development Program, taking all modules plus additional special modules in rally and road application. Okay, so with that said, let us define what grassroots motorsport is. Okay, grassroots sport in general. Forget motorsport. Grassroots sport, okay, is a local community-based sport. Okay? If you play basketball, the local barangay liga or league that you go to play in your area, local area, is what you could consider the first rung in the ladder towards professional basketball, so to speak. Okay? So it's usually the first rung in the ladder of sport that you wish to pursue. It provides you an accessible entry point to compete against other people. And the people you will be fighting against are also enthusiasts. Like you, not necessarily professionals being paid, but people who are passionate about the sport, who want to play the sport, who want to compete against other like-minded individuals. Okay, so you can be fighting, or not really fighting, competing against people of all ages, skill levels, backgrounds, and organizers tend to accept anyone who wants to join. Of course, you may be seeded, or you may be organized, or you might be grouped together based on your age, skill level, so on and so forth, depending on your sport. But otherwise, if you want to play football or basketball or whatever, you will be able to find a group of people to play with formally, in an organized manner, if you're just gonna look around in your area. Okay? Of course, just going to your local basketball court playing informally, that's not grassroots. You know, one definition is it has to be organized. Okay. All right, so what is motorsport? You're doing it word per word, right? Motorsport is a sport involving motor vehicles. All right? You could Motorsport is also boat racing, airplane racing, but more popularly, you motorsport refers to the competition between, let's say, cars or motorcycles, something like that. Okay? And it's a group of sport that involves various events or disciplines. Okay, if you know, it is probably course dependent or area dependent in a sense. Whether it's an open race, open road event, or a closed road event. Open road meaning you would be competing in public roads. And how do you compete in public roads? Of course, events such as the American Cannonball and similar open road races that are, and in the past also like the Milla Milla, Carrera Panamericana, and all these things are open road races. All right. The legality of holding such events is um, mixed, especially when these events ask you to go above the speed limit. And when you go above the speed limit of a certain territory, you would have to understand that that's an illegal act. All right. So more often than not, open road events would be limited to like uh, races held in open, remote areas. Imagine like Dakar style event where they're racing in the desert and such inhospitable areas. Right, so that's one form of open racing that has like unlimited speed that you could do. All right. With limited speed, you could organize what they call time speed distance rallies. In the Philippines, it's called Sampaguita Rally. In other countries, it's called Tulip Rally. But the technical name for such an event is a time speed distance rally. Okay? So that's an open road event where you're not supposed to exceed the speed limit, but you are expected to hit certain checkpoints within a set elapsed time. Okay, it's like bracket style drag racing, but instead of just going on a straight line, you'd be like in a treasure hunt or something. A glorified, not really glorified, but a very sophisticated treasure hunt. Okay? Closed races are usually events held in closed courses. Imagine circuit, drag racing, slalom. Basically, the various disciplines are closed venue races. Okay? So there are various closed competitive events. I mentioned a few of them: drag racing, slalom, circuit, rallycross, and so on and so forth, right? So these ones that I mentioned are timed events. So the faster you go, or the shortest amount of time you can complete, you usually win. Okay? With exceptions depending on the rule set, like bracket style drag racing. But for the most part, the shortest time wins. But there are also motorsport events that are not time-based but judged. Imagine figure skating for cars, which is what you probably may call the discipline of car drifting or the drifting competition style events, which is a judge sport. Okay, how much you slide, what's your angle, what's your line, whatever it's the judge's call. To tell you about um, what you call this, to tell you whether they're impressed or not. Okay, so it's motorsport in general is a test of skill and racecraft of the driver. Um, but you also have to understand that the driver is not the be all and end all of one's performance in competition in motorsport, because like in horse racing, one half of the equation is the jockey and the other half is the horse. So in motorsport, the jockey or the driver is a very important element, but it's not the complete element. The half of the element is of course the vehicle or the car that you're using. Okay? So while the driver is tested by his skill in driving and wheeling the vehicle around, it's also the vehicle as crafted by the race engineer and maintained by mechanics. All right, that could also be the driver if like me, you know, that sometimes when you're starting out, you have to be race team manager, team mechanic, and team driver at the same time, right? But anyway, I digress. The vehicle also plays a very critical part of competing in motorsport. So it's a test. Motorsport is not only a test of driver skill but also a test of power, test of road holding, test of aero, and other tangible factors that affect the lap time or the elapsed time of the vehicle that is being used. Okay? And while motorsport also involves motorcycles, airplanes, boats, whatever, even kuligligs or hand tractors, um, whatever that has a motor in it or an engine, you can compete in it. But for this presentation, we'll be just focusing on uh, vehicles with four wheels. Water break. It's January 5. It's a cold. It's a has been a very cold day here in wherever we are, right? We're in Kuhol Garage. It is very chilly. It is the time of the year in the Philippines that the weather is very, very cool. Not cold, cool. That I'm not needing to use the air conditioning. It's probably gonna be like this for like next month or so. And in March we'll be welcoming the stifling heat. And so I guess I'll be enjoying this weather for the time being. So alright, let's proceed. So grassroots motorsport, what is it? We combine the two words. It is, according to White, it's an amateur entry-level club competition using cars. Okay? Again, it's like the first step of everybody who wants to formally compete with their cars. Okay? The lowest level of motorsport, while it sounds demeaning for those who participate in it, one has to realize that it is the bottom level that has the most participation worldwide. Okay, Formula One is the pinnacle of motorsport in the whole world. But there are only 10 teams, 20 drivers in the 2024 Formula One season. I don't know when Cadillac is going to come in, but Cadillac will be the 11th team. And there will be two more drivers entering. So there will be 22 seats with 22 drivers. That's only 20 to 22 people. But motorsport is bigger than that. And there are a lot more people competing. So it kind of sucks that people may demean, oh, you're just racing here, just racing there. While we are racing abroad, we're racing in the higher formulas, whatever. What's important is, especially here in the Philippines, that motorsport, four-wheel motorsport, is a niche sport. It's a very expensive sport as compared to other sports to enter and even to climb up, because it requires not only you as a driver to develop yourself, but you also require a vehicle that you have to maintain. You have to acquire, maintain, repair, and reconsider, tune, whatever. So it's a very expensive sport, maybe more expensive than golf, probably. But um, but there are definitely more people racing in one day of slalom racing than the grid, as you can see in Formula One. If there are 22 drivers, you could see probably 30 drivers in an autocross, in a slalom, or whatever local motorsport parking lot racing event that's here in the Philippines. There are probably, what, 200, 250 drivers? 300 drivers? 1,000 drivers in the Philippines in that discipline who compete off and on. So even on the small, looking very, very small in the Philippine market, in the Philippine motorsport world, so to speak, there's a lot more people racing in our discipline, in that particular discipline, than the whole grid of Formula One. But probably one racing team can pay for all the racing event. One racing team in Formula One can pay off probably 1 decade of racing of grassroots motorsport in the Philippines. That's how big they're spending for that sport. But as far as participation is concerned, of actual butts in seats, definitely we do more. Okay? There are more people racing here. And the people who race, they don't do it for money. It's done for recreation, for the love of it. Sometimes it's a family event. Sometimes it's just a pastime, a way to spend your weekend, a way to spend your Saturday or Sunday or both days. And it's usually, again, to reiterate, the introduction of a lot of people to formal motorsport. It is the first step in the motorsport ladder. People who start out in let's say slalom, which I like, autocross, parking lot racing, whatever. Those who wish to climb higher, upgrade to other disciplines. Some may pivot towards stage rally. Some may pivot towards circuit racing. So it's really a feeder, what you could say, a feeder series that feeds a higher tier motorsport with their with new talent, new drivers. and they all start out with more affordable racing, even though these people have the money, but they don't even have the foggiest of ideas, um, how to drive a car, how to set up a car. It is through grassroots motorsport that they understand what this sport is about, and they are able to adjust accordingly and eventually master, in a sense, the lower level, and eventually climb higher and higher to more challenging, more faster events, more faster formula, so to speak. So that is grassroots motorsport. So what are, I did mention in passing what are the available disciplines that could be considered as grassroots motorsport. Okay? So, Philippine grassroots motorsport, a lot of it is parking lot racing. Slalom, autocross, gymkhana, super sprint organized by Sir Robert Tan, gymkhana organized by VJ Bakungan, autocross organized by the Santiagos, uh, started off by the late great Danny Santiago. Slalom racing organized by Tita Bing Bang Dulce, or started off with Tita Bing and the late great Tito Lito Dulce. Circuit racing, it's actually, you can say, a more not that accessible in a sense, because parking lot racing usually are held in malls, public areas, things, places that are accessible to people. But where am I? Circuit racing, you have to. There are only two places, and it's all located in Luzon. Circuit races are held in a big track, such as Batangas Racing Circuit, Clark International Speedway, and also small tracks, usually exclusive to karting. I didn't write karting here. Unfortunately, I did not put karting. To me, karting is actually, it could be argued that karting is actually the most expensive grassroots motorsport, but I should include it here under circuit racing. Okay? So karting is it's probably the only accessible motorsport for young people who are not old enough to drive a normal production car around, due to age, size. They're literally too small to operate a normal motor vehicle. So they parents who have the funds would maybe consider having their kids try out karting, go karting. But if you are of age, you can reach the pedals of a normal car. It's actually quite a bit cheaper, considering that you already have the car that you use for everyday use. It's actually cheaper to do parking lot racing. And then, if you really want to be part of the big boys, so to speak, go circuit racing, you would first probably try out track days, or organized practice sessions that you're grouped with people of your skill level to just go around the track. It may or may not be timed, but at the very least, you get to experience what track driving is about. And then if you want to compete, the two grassroots circuit events that I recommend are the Sparco Cup, and organized by Kart Plaza, and Full Throttle Weekend organized by Easy Ligaya. These are usually the more accessible motorsport here in the Philippines for circuit racing. Of course, there's drag racing. It's actually probably the most popular motorsport here, and the most top of mind motorsport that people consider when thinking about motorsport, what motorsport is. So drag racing, at least or properly organized drag racing. I'm not talking about illegal street racing, drag racing, but organized sanctioned drag racing. It only is available for 5 to 6 months of the year. Drag racing season starts in January and ends in May because we have a very long rainy season and drag racing events don't happen in the rain. So we only do it practically half the year only. It's also organized by Kart Plaza. TSD Rally, I consider grassroots motorsport. Um, the only organizer that I know of, and the last one I joined was MP Turbo, Mike Potenciano. And if Sir Mike decides to organize this again, I really highly recommend participating in this. It's not your typical, it's not a motorsport that you have to think, you have to drive fast. It's more of a precision, time-based driving that you have to do. And you can involve your family in this one. This is the only sport that you don't, that having a modified car is a big problem. Okay? And it's the only motorsport that you can literally involve your family even though they don't know how to drive it. Though they're not interested in driving. TSD Rally is the only sport that your whole family can enjoy literally. And it is exciting even though you're not going driving fast. Why is my nose getting congested? I don't know. Anyway, and finally rallycross or basically it's basically parking lot racing held in a dirt lot, right? In a loose surface open area. I highly recommend trying out Dirt University events. They have one on January 26th. I don't know if I'll be able to make it, but maybe I should try. Alright, so I just listed down the various disciplines available in the Philippines. Of course, drifting. Drifting, I'm not gonna mention here because drifting is not cheap also and it requires a specific type of car which is like a rear-wheel drive car. And rear-wheel drive cars are not very common nowadays as daily drivers. Unless you'll be driving like some sort of a Banza or something. Anyway, wait, where am I? Alright. So we've defined what grassroots motorsport is. So what is now, we're trying to define now what a crossover SUV is. But before defining what a crossover SUV is, we need to define what an SUV is in general. So SUV stands for Sport Utility Vehicle. So automobiles, according to MitsubishiCars.com, SUVs are automobiles that combine the features of a passenger car, like plenty of passenger and cargo space, with aspects of an off-road vehicle or a commercial vehicle, such as body-on-frame construction, that allows it to navigate challenging terrain. So it's a dual-purpose vehicle that has rugged components while at the same time aiming to achieve car-like comfort and amenities. Okay, it can really be argued what the first SUV is, but it has evolved from more agricultural vehicles like the Jeep Wagoneer, Chevrolet Suburban. What does International Harvester make? The Scout, and all these American vehicles. Also Toyota with their Land Cruiser, which according to a Haggerty documentary by Jason Camisa is a rip-off of the Land Rover. But anyway, these are the, as you say, the lineages or one of the first vehicles that you may consider as an SUV. Okay, so it's rugged and car-like at the same time. Okay, But an SUV in the traditional sense is defined by body-on-frame construction. I'll show you what that is, right? So, an SUV usually has a wagon body. So, let's check out what a wagon body is. Does this work? Hello? Oh, it doesn't work. Let's go back. The hyperlink, the worky. So anyway, I have some slides. We'll skip through a few slides. Let's try clicky. Let's try clicky clicky. Doesn't clicky clicky. Fine, we'll do it manual like. We'll do it manual like. So this is a wagon, right? Alright, you can say station wagon. What separates a wagon from, let's say, a sedan, right? A sedan has like, a wagon has a continuous roof covering the cargo area. It may slope down, but but basically it's a continuous line or curve covering the cargo area at the back that swoops down, it ends abruptly at the tailgate, and usually has a tailgate that either opens up with a hinge on the roof, or on some cases swings sideways. Sometimes there's a lid also that drops downwards and hinged from the bottom, but that's usually a tailgate style, like a pickup truck, and that's usually an add-on feature. But usually when a wagon will have a rear hatch that opens and a continuous roof. That's why wagons are usually considered to have 5 doors, right? So wagons usually have 4 doors, like a sedan. But after the C-pillar, the roofline extends. And there's an additional pillar, what you call it, the D-pillar, that ends the profile of the wagon. Let's go back. An SUV shares platform to pickup trucks. Okay, what's a pickup truck? So a pickup truck usually has 2 or 4 doors. In the Philippines, 4 doors are very common. 2-door pickups are not common. It has an open cargo area at the back that is bounded by, it's called the pickup bed, the open cargo area at the back, that you're able to use for loading extra large oversized cargo, and it's usually used for, especially the 2-door variant, for commercial agricultural business usage. Okay, but the 4-door short bed pickup truck is used as a private vehicle many a time for the Philippine roads. And pickup trucks are usually cheaper than the equivalent SUV. But the Hilux uses the same platform as the Fortuner, and the Isuzu D-Max uses the same platform as the D-Max MUX. Okay. Jump. Okay, SUVs usually have a high carriage height because, again, they were designed to be on a commercial platform, and since they have a separate chassis, it is not practical for them to have a low height or low roof height or low overall height, because there's not enough space in the cabin to accommodate people inside the cockpit. Examples of the sport utility vehicle: Toyota Fortuner, Motorsport, Ford Everest, And the tiniest example that's available brand new is the Suzuki Jimny. What then is a crossover SUV? A crossover is a vehicle that blends the qualities of a traditional car. Again, this is according to MitsubishiCars.com. So it looks like an SUV and it seems like an SUV, but it is made differently as far as the overall body construction is concerned. The SUVs that we mentioned have a body-on-frame construction, while a crossover SUV, or a crossover for short, is basically a monocoque. Basically how modern passenger cars are made. That's how crossover SUVs are made. Basically, a crossover is a larger, taller, normal car. So, it also has a wagon body. As defined, it has a monocoque. Show you what a monocoque is. So, alright, this is the comparison between a monocoque and a body-on-frame. So, the body-on-frame you could see here. Let's use the mouse. So, there's a separate chassis that encapsulates the running gear, the suspension, the engine, the drivetrain. And then a body is placed on top of this running gear, powertrain, whatever configuration that you have over here. Right? It is feasible for you to be able to drive this car without a body if you install enough components and a seat for you to drive it naked. Okay? A monocoque is basically the body is the chassis at the same time. This design is usually lighter than this one because the body and the chassis is one unit. It could be argued that I don't know if you could argue that this is safer, all things equal, because you could really design this one to be an integral shell, safety cell, so to speak. But this one, well, you have as far as the side, the longitudinal chassis member here that aids very greatly on side impact resistance. But the body, you also have to reinforce for it to be strong. So all in all, this will be much heavier, all things equal, versus this one. Okay, and cars are made this way. Okay, the thing is, this shell is made out of pressed steel components that may or may not be considered as durable on a commercial usage as this one. So that's why even normal trucks that you see, panel vans, trucks, commercial vans, and so on and so forth, the trucks that even if you buy them brand new, you will still, and buses and so on and so forth, you will still see them utilizing a ladder frame construction to this day. While cars have moved on to monocoque due to lightness, I guess cheapness to construct, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's go back. Crossover SUV, given the fact that it has a unibody, a monocoque construction, if it's built like a car, it will most likely drive like a car. And you can really tell the difference between driving an SUV or at least a car with the traditional body and frame construction versus a car. I've been jumping from car to car over the past week or 2 weeks. I've been driving my daily driver, an MGZS style variant, and on loan to me is a 2017 Isuzu Crosswind. So the Crosswind is what we call an Asian utility vehicle. We'll not go through that. We've discussed that on a previous video, what an AUV is. But let's just pretend it's an SUV for the sake of discussion. Okay. I've been so I've been driving the MGZS and the Crosswind. I can feel that the Crosswind is weighty, is heavier. It's lumbering. Okay, the engine's not very strong, but the dynamics, you really feel like you're driving a truck. And I've driven trucks. And it really drives. It's comfortable, I guess. It's floaty. But it's a truck. And it drives like a truck. While the MG drives like a car. I've driven cars. Duh. Examples of a crossover: Toyota RAV4, Honda CR-V, Hyundai Tucson, and of course my personal MGZS 2017 and up variant. There was an MGZS sedan in the UK. I don't know what that is. And I know the MGZS is a derivative of some China car made by SAIC. But anyway, that's the SUV I have, or the crossover that I have currently. So traditional SUV for motorsport. Water again. It's getting hot in here. Yeah, its body and frame, like I mentioned, it is rigid and durable. So if you're gonna drive the car in rough and tumble situation, off-roading, cross-country rally, anywhere there's a rough road, that speed is of second importance to sheer durability. You can consider a SUV to play with. Otherwise, it's too heavy and usually large, right? It's too heavy. That's the first dynamic fault that it has. It's too heavy. People are drag racing SUVs. They're pumping outwards of 300 at the wheels with their diesel engines, drag diesel, whatever. But they are pulling 2,000 kilos, 1,900, 9,000, 1,800 to 2,000 kilo worth of car. If you put the 300 horsepower, 350 horsepower diesel engine in a car that weighs about 1,000 kilos versus an SUV that weighs in excess of 2,000 kilos, then definitely you have a way faster car. Okay, so if you're gonna do a grudge match against a Honda Civic, that could be seen as a typical drag race vehicle in the Philippines. The SUV requires a very stonking engine to just keep pace with a Honda with a lightly breathed on B series engine. Yeah, and you'd be spending a lot. But it's a niche that people like, so whatever, you guys do you. But I hope you do understand my point. These cars are too heavy for most motorsport, and for me the major problem is they're too big. Imagine racing in parking lots with very tight gates, very tight chicanes. The course layout is tight, small, because parking lots in the Philippines, they're not necessarily big, right? Parking is sometimes a second priority in all but the most planned areas, and there are not a lot of planned areas in this third world country, so to speak. So the areas available for parking lot racing is, not necessarily big enough. for the traditional SUV to the driver of the traditional SUV to enjoy himself. So, unless you're driving a Jimny, the normal SUV is too big for the type of work or type of motorsport that we like. And it has a high center of gravity, which is a detriment when you're trying to sashay the car left and right through slaloms, turns, and whatnot. So, and like what I said, probably drag racing, these things are the only nice, fun, the common, not necessarily fun, but more of the common thing that people like to do and play, fool around with their traditional SUV. But again, you to compete, to have a 13-second elapsed time in an SUV like that, you'll be spending hundreds of thousands of pesos on your engine. But you could achieve the same performance in the 400-meter strip if you're just using a lighter car rather than a heavy SUV. So the crossover for motorsport, okay, before I continue this slide, is anyone watching? Can you guys say hi at the very least if you're watching? All right. Or give a heart. Anyway, crossover for motorsport. Again, the crossover is basically a taller car with a bigger bigger cockpit inside. So the unibody chassis combines lightness and strength, so it's durable enough for most of the things that we want to do. All right, there's somebody who's replied. Doc Brian has replied. Hi, Jahan. Hi, Doc Brian. Nice to see you in the chat. Thank you for coming. Okay, going back. Crossovers are car-based platforms with dynamics similar to cars. So if you're driving, especially with my MGZS, when I drive it for slalom, it just drives like the traditional Elantra that I usually field in motorsport. So the advantages, it's spacious inside. It's a new car, but for motorsport use, it's big inside, comfortable, high seating height. So if you're doing grassroots parking lot racing, you can see where the cones are. At the very least, you can place your car very well. And since it drives like a car, there's no slop, there's no vague steering feel like what I feel in the crosswind that I drive. So yeah, so if you're used to driving cars, crossover is not far off in the feel of driving it. Okay, and and the most important part, I would say it's practical for you can say dual sport use. Use it every day. Use it for parking lot racing. Use it for even circuit racing if you want. It has a large interior space. You want to bring in additional tires for sport. Yeah, you want to swap into more slick tires, so to speak. Or special tires for whatever motorsport you want to do, you can just put it in the back. Very easy. If you're going out for a weekend, you're gonna go race. If you live far from the racetrack, far from the venue, you want to go overnight and drive the car like what I did. I went to Gapan. It was a more than 3-hour drive. It was far enough that I could have decided to go overnight, but it not that far, but it was feasible for me to cannonball, going there, race, and then go home, right? But if I wanted to go overnight, I could put all my clothes. I could put all my gear, tools, whatever, and it's still comfortable. And I have such an airy cockpit, you know, high roof height, very comfortable, cold aircon, whatever. Okay. And one thing I didn't realize, um, until the time when I saw a RAV4, which I'm going to discuss, I saw several RAV4s in rally here in the Philippines. I saw one big advantage with the big cockpits and the high roofs is that when you put a roll cage in such a car, it's less obtrusive to the driver. I've had a roll cage in my Elantra before, and I have a roll cage in the Toyota Corolla rally car there, here somewhere in the garage, and half cage for the coupe all-wheel drive project car that we have. Uh, the the roll bar is so close to your head. Okay, with these all these small cars, but if you like with the Rav4, the roll cage is so high up. Okay, it's high up over here, so you know you can't knock it with your helmet. Um, so I guess for ergonomics, in that sense, having a roll cage is in such a car is actually a very good idea. You're comfortable even if you have a cage, right? So all the more you could use your car on a daily basis, I guess. Let's try. Crossovers are very popular cars nowadays. It could be argued that the Toyota Vios is probably still the best-selling car, but if you put it on aggregate, I'm sure that people tend to gravitate more towards crossover SUVs than sedans nowadays. Again, due to the space that is available, the practicality that is available, and the perception of high carriage height or high, because in the Philippines we kind of care that we have to wade through floods and such. So the criterion of buyers nowadays is a car that has a relatively high carriage height, a bit tall, so that you know you tend to be able to ford through floods. So that's why the cars are very common nowadays. It's easy to find a crossover. It's easy to find used crossovers if you want to acquire one and configure for your motorsport application. The higher ride height is an advantage. If you're going to go on rough roads, you're gonna do rallycross, stage rallies, whatever, you already have inherent in the car more clearance for rough roads. And normally these SUVs or these crossovers will have taller shocks than their equivalent sedans of the same platform. So technically speaking, you may enjoy longer suspension travel for better comfort if you're using it daily, and shock absorption if you're going to use it on rough roads. Long travel suspension is a benefit that people spend thousands and thousands of pesos to acquire for purpose-built rally cars. But if you just buy an SUV, you may already have the long travel suspension inbuilt. And if you break the shock, you can easily buy it as a spare part. It's not a performance part. So that's why this is one advantage or one critical advantage for some when considering a crossover SUV. The disadvantage, however, of a crossover is, I guess the biggest thing is the perception of others about you. When I went racing in my MGZS, I attended, not really, I didn't race, but more of attended a training session or a gymkhana session organized by the MSDP. So I went with my daily driver, playing it around, and then people were commenting, "Oh, You could use such a car. Wow, maybe I should bring my CRV also and play. And they were like, uh, uh, I don't know if they were really astonished or just mocking me that I was using this car. And that's not the only time that happened to me. That also happened to me when I joined the open shakedown for in Dirt University. People were shocked that I was again using the MGZS and tossing it around. It's not a modified car by any means. It's a stock car. There's no modifications to any part of it that are meaningful. Absolutely none. Maybe I used some alternate tires, but that's about it. But besides that, the car's bone stock. And they were very shocked that I was able to slide the car a little bit. Oh, family car. So the negative perception in that kind of sucks. That they kind of look down upon you because you kind of seem to be using the wrong car in the motorsport that you are participating in. But if you have a thick skin like me, that doesn't matter. If But one problem, example, you're really going to be serious in competing with your crossover. Sometimes or many a time to find competition parts or performance parts for your car is gonna be a bit difficult. Okay, maybe if you want to lower your car, it would be well, suspension parts may not be as common. You may have to do some custom engineering, which I've seen in the RAV4 that I'm going to discuss later. But what's very critical is that the platform of your chosen crossover, if there is some literally crossover between it and a more popular platform, let's say the RAV4, according to the owner of the RAV4, there are cross commonalities with the Corolla. So replacement parts, performance parts can be shared from popular platforms like the Camry, the Corona, the Corolla, and so on. But if you're not able to trace parts commonality with other popular platforms, then you will have this problem when you want to improve the performance of your car. Heavier and larger than normal passenger car. Well, yeah, since usually they're bigger cars, they're gonna be a little bit heavier, but not by much considering. Maybe 100 kilo more, 150 kilo more. Cars nowadays are like 1,000 kilos. I mean, I'm not talking about small cars like Mirage or Wigo. I'm talking about, let's say, cars the level of the Vios, size like the Vios. If the Vios is like 1,100 kilos, maybe an SUV is about 1,300 kilos. The MGZS is about 1,280 kilos, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what the MG5 weighs, but I'm sure it'll be a few kilos less than that. Taller ride height than a normal passenger car. For certain motorsport, this is an advantage. For normal tarmac and concrete-based motorsport, this may be considered a disadvantage, I guess, because center of gravity, this and that. But again, um, case to case, if this is really a disadvantage for you. Two case examples. My personal car and the car that my good friend was able to use in rally. So this is my personal 2021 MGZS style variant. It's my daily driver up to now. I'm still driving it. It currently has 58,000 kilometers. It's almost due or very close to being due for an oil change, and I definitely need new tires for it. It'll be my third set of tires for it. I did not finish the original set. I upgraded to 225/55 17 tires, Max Trex. I've been able to use it for more than 2 years, and they're close to being already worn. So I'm really looking for a new set of the same size tire. My discipline is parking lot racing. And I for the 2024 no 2023 season, I was able to compete with this car for the most part in most of the races in the 2023 slalom season. There, I want to really emphasize that there is no specific mods to the car specific that would improve the performance of the car in slalom at the very least. It has spacers 25 mm in thickness, but the benefit of spacers, uh, I don't know if it really makes a benefit to road holding. It technically speaking, it's supposed to be because you're increasing the track width by 50 mm or 2 inches. Okay, but it does that make a big difference? Who knows? Okay. But besides that, the tires are not even sports tires. I was able to use Max Trek Maximus M1 tires in 225/55 17 size. These are ordinary premium touring tires made in China. They're not known to be grippy, but they're okay. They're comfortable for daily driving use, which is the most important criterion. They're taller than the stock tire size. So that means there is also a demerit by using that tire as far as acceleration is concerned. And this car is big slow. It's not very, very fast on acceleration at all. But again, it drives like a car. And you could see in the picture, that, I really have a high vantage point. I can see the cones very well. I don't tend to hit any cones because I can see them. Okay? I can place my car wherever I feel like it. I don't have to peer on top of the dashboard. I'm not a small guy. I'm 5'9.5". But regardless, I'm not seated in a low car either. So I have a very good vantage point in this type of motorsport. With this car, I was able to cinch a class championship in the 2023 National Slalom Series. It's an all-stock car. What's important is it's a reliable car with good aircon, comfortable for long drive. I had to go to Gapan, Nueva Ecija. I had to go to, this was held, where was this held? Uh, the Robinson's Mall in Marcos Highway on the rooftop. Other events held in, what you call this? Uh, San Fernando, Pampanga. It jumped from several places. Okay, what's very important is a car that you know very well, you're very comfortable in, you trust to get you from A to B, and to be consistent. And I was able to do it with my car. I mentioned I was able to do some little bit of rallycross driving with it under Dirt University, and it drove well. Again, it's a front-wheel drive car, 1.5 liter non-turbo, 4-speed automatic. Doesn't have the specs to be super duper. It's not a fast car at all. It's not. But we were able to do it. We were able to cinch the championship in our particular class. Okay, this is my friend's rally car. It's a 2001 Toyota RAV4, 2-liter manual all-wheel drive. Okay, one advantage of certain crossover SUVs also, you can get them sometimes with all-wheel drive, but to get them with a manual transmission and all-wheel drive, it's not that common. Okay? And there are so few cars that have been released in the Philippines in that configuration. And one of them is the RAV4. Very surprisingly, they did not go with Honda CRV, but the Honda CRV is kind of, I would imagine it to be a fake 4x4 system because it's actually a front wheel drive and then it sometimes activates the front rear wheel drive setup sometimes. But the Toyota RAV4 is a full-time all-wheel drive car. So it drives like a you can say it drives like an Evo, but it doesn't have the power of an Evo. It has been reported to be a very slow car, but it handles like a actual four-wheel drive car, like an Evo or something. So the people who drove this car is Ivan Isada and co-driver Henry Buenconsejo, Tito Henry. Their discipline is rally. Their engine is stock, and I'm really looking at it. I really studied their car very, very well. I studied the sister car very, very well. They're at that time they're fielding two RAV4s. I was checking whatever they were doing to the car, what modifications they were doing. Because again, these are, you can say, very well renowned people in the discipline. So anything I could copy to improve my performance, and the performance of my car, anything that I can be inspired with or steal, in a sense, the idea, I would like also to emulate in my own project car or race car, whatever. So I really looked very hard, and very interesting is there was nothing much to copy. Engine is standard. Whatever their drivetrain is standard. There's no power mod, no fancy changing of gear ratio, nothing. There is some suspension modifications, but not by much. They did not have any rally suspension, no fancy shock absorbers. I won't tell you exactly what they did, but I was very surprised in what they did. Something insane, or something inane at the very least. But that probably I would copy in a future build if warranted. But the car is stock. The tires are nothing to note. They're expired even. It's very hard to find proper sporty grippy tires in their stock tire size. Okay, if you really want to emulate the diameter, one has to go with 18s for proper tires. But those tires are expensive and you lose the sidewall. That may be the factor, the thickness of the sidewall. That is a factor for, I guess, rigidity on rough roads and all that. So I guess they, in this particular rally, it was only me and the RAV4s of Ivan and Coach Vipisada that were running normal tires. The rest were running slicks of some sort because it was a tarmac rally. There's no tricks except very minor stuff and basically the driver. Basically the drivers. The drivers are the most modified part of the car by a long margin. And with a dumb basic RAV4, they were the class champion for Rally Sprint 2024. Okay? And the thing about this car is, according to them, it shares a lot of parts with the Corolla, the Camry, the Corona, whatever it is. So anything that breaks on the car, they're able to, or at least the consumables aspect, they're able to service. What's kind of rare is probably be the transmission itself, maybe the transfer case, the drivetrain components, the body, but like the suspension components, aside from the shock absorber and spring or the strut assembly, from what I understand, there's a lot of parts commonalities, bushings, ball joints, whatever, CV joints, that they won't have a problem servicing the car and acquiring parts when needed. So for the use of the rally, they decided to go hog wild with this platform. and they they have at the bare minimum two RAV4s that they're playing with. Okay, between Ivan and Coach Vip. So very well, um, from what little I know of interfacing and talking with the father and son, especially Coach Vip. Coach Vip has been really thinking what platform, what motorsport platform to do, and this and that. So, after a very, very long time of deciding, at least a year of thinking and evaluating and being able to drive a RAV4, he decided to go with the RAV4 platform because of that reason. And so that's a very inspired reason. Me, I thought of using I also wanted to look for a cheap four-wheel drive platform. I thought of using a Subaru Legacy, but anything Subaru is not cheap, I would imagine. And I tried, and I failed. And so I sold off all my Subarus, and I still have some Subaru parts remaining, but the Subaru platform is living on in part in my coupe all-wheel drive. I'm using a Subaru Legacy rear suspension in my Hyundai coupe, which we converted to all-wheel drive. But that's a separate story. Okay, last slide, guys, before we end this one. Okay, recommendations. I just want to say that any car can be used to race. You don't have to worry about racing. Whatever car you have, just use any car. If you have your mom's Fortuner, you have your dad's whatever, or you're only able to buy a Wigo or a Mirage or whatever basic car that you have. Don't worry, if you want to try motorsport, just try it. Okay? And if you really find yourself using a crossover SUV, then don't hesitate to use that. Again, when we're talking about grassroots motorsport, it's like your first step. Just use whatever car that's convenient for you that you already have. You don't have to spend too much. What people mistake, get wrong basically, when starting out, they have this perception, especially if they have money, that they have to spend and spend in order to achieve a result. What you have to spend for is the knowledge and understanding that you're able to compete and to learn how efficiently you will be able to compete. Okay? So when you're starting out, any car that you have is fine. Don't worry about it. I have friends that are just racing stock Viuses. Right? You have a 10-time national rally champion, Coach Vip Isada, and his a 2-time national rally champion son, Ivan Isada, just racing bone stock RAV4s, except for safety equipment. So, what's stopping you? Just drive. Just join. Certain attributes of the crossover suit certain disciplines. Really, rally is a good thing. Rallycross is good for it. But you want to do parking lot racing, you can consider Jimny. But again, the Jimny again is not a very fast car. It's a very durable car. It is small. But you may consider a soft-roader or crossover. I'm a Hyundai guy, so actually the consideration for me was a front-wheel drive first-gen gasoline Tucson with a manual transmission. But I ended up with an MGZS, so I used that for 2023. And I won't hesitate to use it again if I feel like it. And it's really a practical car. Again, if you have limited means but you could afford a car, you want to acquire a car that will do everything for you. And when you're really serious and funds permit, you earn a bit more, then buy a second car that you don't have an hesitation to destroy. You build up, fix it, break it, total it, whatever you want. But you still have a daily driver. Then you do that when you if you could do that. But for now, you know, if you're if you already have even if it's an automatic, I raced an automatic. It's actually easier to drive an automatic than a manual. It's just two pedals instead of three pedals. So easy. Okay? And you know, for me what's really important is the best way to enter motorsport aside from drag racing. Try parking lot racing. There's so many organizers now. Try parking lot racing. Go to Tita Bing's Slalom. Go to the Santiago's Autocross. Look for VJ Bakungan Gymkhana. Look for Sir Robert Tan Super Sprint. Okay? Join parking lot racing. It's you know, especially like with slalom, with a lot of these guys, they organize it in mall parking lots. So you can go race, eat lunch in the mall, go race again, then go home and do some shopping before going home. So that's why I really like parking lot racing. You know, kung itatagalog ko, may karera na nga, may gala ka pa. And if you're bringing your significant other, your family, your kids and all that, you just dump them in the mall. Or give them the option, if you're bored here, go to the mall, watch a movie, go shopping, whatever. That's why I like parking lot racing. But to really involve the family in motorsport, I really suggest looking for an opportunity to join a time speed distance rally. I hope that there are more people to organize this type of motorsport. And the only one that I know that's active in it, but he hasn't organized this form of race last year. I don't think so. There's of course the Tour de Cebu, but that requires a vintage car. But besides that, the most accessible one is one organized by MP Turbo, Mike Potenciano. So I hope he organizes more races like this one. Because I'd like to join again. And it's really a fun race. Maybe we'll discuss it in another video how cool it is. Alright. So, that's it for what you call this video. You guys have any questions, comments, snarky remarks, whatever? You know, I started the stream at 8 o'clock, 8:01, and it's 9:34. So I've been talking for 1.5 hours. When I teach, I also talk for 1.5 hours each class. So I was able to do these live streams before my semester in university. So it actually was good practice. So actually, I'm also practicing now. Again, in preparation for the incoming semester. That since we're having a long holiday, maybe I forgot how to talk. So that's the reason why we're able, or I'm able to, or wanting to do this thing, talking to you via live stream. Let's go there. Let's go focus on myself. Those who are watching, welcome to the Kuhol Garage Studio, basically my bedroom. There's my bed at the back. I think you can hear the dogs barking. I don't know what's going on outside. So yeah, that's basically it. I don't know if you guys will really agree using the crossover SUV, like my MGZS over here. Very interesting. You could see in the picture. I know you cannot see it here, but you know you could see in the picture that you can see here that I'm wearing a face mask. Oh, pandemic racing is was very interesting. Uh, but that's and let's go back to this slide. One notable thing why I chose this picture, because this is the first time in my life that able to go racing on a sixth floor parking lot rooftop. This was held in Robinson's Metro East. Is that a mall? The Robinsons along Marcos Highway in Cainta. Is that Metro East? I don't know. They have a sixth floor parking lot, and they closed it for us to use in a slalom race. I think this only happened once. And I really wanted to join this one because I know that this might not happen again. And I don't think it has happened again. So, I took that opportunity. I'm very glad of it. And it was fun. If you make a mistake, you'll fall 6 stories, probably. But nothing happened. And I don't think that was super unsafe. And you can only go first gear here, very short, not even 40 kilometers per hour. 50 kilometers per hour, even maybe 60 for cars very fast. Okay. So yeah, uh, that's basically it for today. I don't have any questions on the chat. So, but for those who are watching, Doc Brian, I don't know if you're still there, but thank you for watching live. I don't know how long you've been watching, but I hope you've enjoyed. And for the rest who'll be watching this one in the future, it is a long stream, but I hope that you guys were able to learn something. If not, well, I don't know, but I tried. So, anyway, I've talked for how long? Almost 1 hour 40 minutes. I guess I'll wrap the stream up, especially if there are no more questions. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. I don't know if I want to do some live streams, maybe at the very least once a month. Maybe I'll try to do that. So this is the January live stream. Let's try to do something on February. Alright. So we have Doc Brian. Doc Brian, still here most of it. Oh, thank you so much, Doc Brian. So I didn't ask you what happened during your. Well, I did ask you privately, but I hope you had a good experience in Dirt University. Um, Maybe I'll try joining the shakedown on the 26th if you're still interested to try that out. It will be in Angat, Bulacan. So I'm interested to actually try out my four-wheel drive car. Uh, I think my four-wheel drive car is almost done. We just need to replace the alternator. So hopefully I'll be able to finally drive it in anger on dirt during that time. So hopefully I make it. Uh, but yeah, so anyway, pagod na ako. Pagod na ako. Ayoko na magsalita. Namamaos na ako, pare. So, guys, let's end this stream right here. Pagod na ako. Or in English, I'm a little bit tired. So, hanggang doon na lang tayo, guys. Thank you so much for watching, Doc Brian. Thank you if you're still watching. I'll see you guys next time. I'll see you guys on February for the next live stream, and stay tuned for future videos, future edited videos on the Kuhol Garage YouTube channel. Hope to see you guys next time. Ciao.